Welcome to Breakthrough. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to click the subscribe button followed by the bell icon so you don't miss any future videos.
In Luke 16 verse 13, it says something really powerful in that verse. It says, no servant can serve two masters. See, there's that word master again. Either you're going to hate the one and love the other one. Either you're going to hold to the one, right, or you're going to despise the other. So there's a big truth right there that we can only serve one master. And it maybe for somebody it might be influence. I desire influence. So that what people say becomes how I live my life. Or it might be a money, because that it goes on to talk about money right after that verse in Luke 16 verse 13. It says you cannot serve God and money. It says that specifically calls out money, because money, is the love of money is the root of evil. We all need money to live, but that the love of money. So does money really, is that my master? See, and so I want to really talk about that. We used to say this all the time when I was growing up, and I don't know, maybe it's gone out of style, maybe, but you can't walk the fence. You can get up on the fence and maybe take a few steps, and somebody might be good and be able to walk for a while on the fence, but sooner or later you have to get on one side of the fence or the other. And I think in our life as a Christian, we often find ourselves on the wrong side of the fence and don't know how to get back up over on the other side. And maybe that's kind of what we're talking about a little bit tonight. The concept of being a servant to sin, right, is contrary to being a son. And being a son is really not a new idea. It's actually in the Bible. It's not a new idea to say, well, I'm a son and I'm no longer a servant. And so I don't really want to bring that idea out to you in a fresh way, but I want you to consider for a moment that we either are a servant or we're a son. Just let me take you a little further. But the purpose that Jesus came to earth, the reason why Jesus even came to the earth was to defeat sin, right? And so all of us have this thing inside of us called sin. We didn't have to do anything to be a sinner. We were just born, right? The day you were born, the very first breath you took, you were already a sinner. You were born into sin. It's not a new thing for people to be born, for children to be born. It's not a new thing, but we are all born into sin. We have this same level playing field. All of us are born into sin. We live in a world full of it, full of sin, right? So inside of us, right, as so I think even Jesus says this, right? He says he came to defeat sin, and he says to all of us, follow me, things like that. He says, trust me, right? So as a Christian, when we accept Christ into our life, he asks us to follow him. And even if we don't understand, honestly, I think sometimes we live out our life, our Christian life, as if God is in church on a Sunday morning somewhere, and he's in the church house, but he's not with me in my life. And so we find ourselves struggling between the church on Sunday and my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday walk with him. And Jesus wants to go with us all the way, every day, right? And I like this thought though. Servant or son. If we were together, I would say to you something like this: tell your neighbor that you're a servant, and then tell your other neighbor you're a son, because really, that's exactly who we are when we're breathing. We're a servant and we're a son, and we're together in the same in the same body, right? In the same, when I walk into a room today, I'm a servant and I'm a son. The servant will pass away, but the son will live forever. Jesus came and he gave us an inheritance, right? We have an inheritance which only a son can receive, right? But we're still a servant here on this earth, right? A son has an inheritance, but not the servant. Isn't it interesting? In the same house, the servant and the son dwell together. The servant dwells for a while, but not forever. That's what the word just said. We read. Well, the flesh and the spirit, if I can go a little further, just a little deeper with you there. You know, sometimes when I pray, I'll start to pray about a situation or a circumstance, and I will pray, and as I'm praying, I even say it. I say, Father, I just demand my rights as a son in this situation. I demand my rights, you know, because as a son I have rights, and I have to come to a place though that I have a belief as a son, right? I say this sometimes when I bring up this topic, but when I go home and I go into my dad's house, I sit at the table or I stand there or whatever I'm doing, I'm not worried about whether or not the light is going to turn on when I turn the switch on. I don't pay the electric bill, right? I go there. If I'm thirsty, I go to the refrigerator and I can get something to drink. I didn't buy this stuff in the refrigerator, but I don't have to worry about if it's cold or not. I don't have to worry about whether the roof leaks or not. I don't have to worry about whether the taxes are paid. All of the things are provided for me while I'm in my Father's house. See, our identity, who we believe we are. Are we a son or are we a servant? Who we believe we are, it changes everything in our life. In our walk with God, it changes everything. Nothing will ever be the same if we could learn to identify that we are a son. If we could learn to walk that out, I'm a son.